Okay, so we just built this new website, Racism Stinks, and we've got the whole site. One thing we do right when a site comes out of the gate is we do tracking and implementation right away. And so I always like to double check our team just to get our eyes on the different implementation to make sure that the settings are always correct. And so I spot check these days because we've done so many of these. But for one, I want to first check Google Search Console. I see there's some data here. I see Racism Stinks has the main domain and the prefix, both the one that resolves and the main domain, because we want to see traffic across this and traffic across this. And really that's, you're going right here and add property and you'll submit the domain and the URL prefix. And they wouldn't be here if we didn't have a TXT file in the DNS. So that's taken care of, but I'm just gonna check international targeting. I forgot you can't check that here. I wanna make sure we've got a sitemap submitted. So we've got a sitemap submitted here, looking good. And then if I come down to this prefix, make sure that international targeting is set to US servers because this is a US company. Okay, Search Console is connected. And that's the website. I can always open up this tag manager and hit enable or record, and I can see right away I've got a Google Analytics code and a Google Tag Manager. So there's the Search Console. Search Console looks good. And I'm gonna look over here at Tag Manager and make sure that we've got tags set up for additional things. Google Analytics is great. It tracks a lot of things we do, a lot of actions that users take. But there are other things that we need to track, such as actions. So we'll be able to set up those tags, triggers, and variables inside of our tag manager. So I always like to check to see if they're using the variables and they've got the variables turned on. This is excellent work. So we want to hear these other variables. And it's really just this whole set here. Usually I would turn on more click class, click target. I just want to hear this stuff in the data layer. And so I'm usually going to turn on more of those variables. Certainly it allows us to target more actions, especially as the site gets more complex. And then we want to trigger a call from the site, a trigger a contact form, a trigger an email from the site, and trigger a newsletter form. So there must be 4 things that our tracking team said. These are actions on this site. Certainly we want to track exits to a site. So here's one I'm seeing that probably needs to be added, and it's maybe in the goals, but we really want to see, since this is, if you look at the bottom left corner, it says paypal.com, it's going right to a donate page. We certainly want to track when an external URL is clicked, and that's an external URL, because we won't be able to get data over there in our analytics if we don't have it set up properly. So looking pretty good here. And then if they run ads, of course, we'd want a conversion tracker. And then usually you can add some other things in here, but there's a newsletter form, Google Analytics Universal Code, email form site as a tag, contact form submit, call from a site. Nice thing is I've got a whole chunk of tags and scripts set up here, and I've got one very lean script embedded on the somewhere. Right there, embedded in the header. So insert header footer, we've got the tag manager right there. And now we used to put schema markup in the tag manager, but sometimes the tag manager doesn't fire correctly. So we have put all of this secret sauce, schema markup, into the header as well, because we want that to always fire. And that's just good stuff for the bots. Now I want to double check the analytics, so I'm going to just go to admin and account settings. Racism Stinks in the name of the account. That's really for us. I really don't want these emails coming to my spam. I've already seen a million of them. So pretty good there. There's really not much to check there. G4 setup. This is not the G4. This is the traditional one. So let's just go down here to property settings. And I always want to just check the resolve. Where is it resolving? It's resolving to www HTTPS. And so this is set HTTPS www. So this looks good. I do want to enable demographic and interest reports. It's going to give me more information. We do have, I believe, on this site a privacy policy. If not, that's something we can tell our team to make. So there's a privacy policy. So I can kick these things on, use enhanced link attribution. And this just gives me more data in my analytics. Before I do anything, enable user metrics and reporting, hit save. And I do want to make sure that the Search Console is connected to the property, and it is not. So this is one very, very, very important connection. And this is why we add the prefix, https://racismstinks.org. And we want to connect that to the Racism Stinks account. There we go, continue. And now we will get information porting in from Search Console into Google Analytics. Super, super important. And now that is connected. And so you can see there's a connection request. All right, we'll hit done. It doesn't update in real time, but that is a couple small adjustments here. And then so I know right here when I click acquisition and I go down to Search Console, I am now going to be able to get landing pages, queries, all kinds of additional information accurately injected into my Google Analytics. And then let's just look at view settings over here, set to HTTP www. We can always add some, eliminate query parameters, and bot filtering is on. Fantastic. The site doesn't have search, so we don't need that on, so there's nothing wrong there. Usually if the client goes to the site or we go to the site often, we're going to filter out our IP. I will show you how to do that just so you can know how to do that. So check my IP, snag your work IP if you go and you want as clean data as possible. So sometimes you're filtering out blogs out of data, user groups, people that come and log into your website. We can get some of that out of the data too. And we want to exclude traffic from this IP address that equals to my IP. And then if the client goes to it a lot, we would also want to exclude their IP from the data. It just muddies it and mucks it up. Now the other major thing here is setting up goals. This is really everything. Call from site. And since we can set these goals up here, usually if we can set the goals up here, we don't necessarily need to track it in the tag manager, but for whatever reason, we've got it tracked over there. Okay, donate is set here. I'm really interested to see how we're tracking this. It is donate, it is a destination, and it's the PayPal. So I believe he's going to be able to filter and see this as an action. So this is really good. Now, whenever we're looking at all traffic, and of course this is just set up, it's brand new, but then we're going to be able to see what do users do? Where did they come from? Or who are they? How did we get them? Where did they come from? And what did they do? That's the main part here. Real time we really use to do testing and checking. So who are they? Where'd they come from? What'd they do? What goals did they pop? What traffic is popping goals? What traffic is staying? What traffic is bouncing? What are our bounce rates across the board? And of course, you are always going to want to add the tag assistant. So this implementation looks pretty good. That's Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Google Search Console, taking a look at the scripts in the header, and then Data Studio. So one last thing here, we always set up a Data Studio so that they can get their data in real time. And then we've of course got, who are they? And of course, there's no much data here because the site is pretty much just a couple days old. And then, what did they do? Who are they? Where did they come from? And what do they do? And we just want to have metrics so clients can see their traffic. And we give them all these real-time channels. They just got to kick the dates open. And then oftentimes we'll have like a slide 4, 5, 6, 7 for other data points, such as local SEO, the GMB, Facebook if we're managing that, and other different things that we pull data from. That is tracking and implementation.